Yo, this morning during my scrolling session, I stumbled upon this reel. I thought,
Crazy.
but even crazier was the sound this monitor lizard was making. So I decided to record it and do a bit of. So the first thing I did is I spent some time listening to the recording and focusing on cool moments and sounds that can be further used for making drum sounds. The first sounds that I found is this one. And I thought I could make a cool snap kind of perk with it. So I isolated it. I first applied an EQ to clean it up a little bit. Another EQ in mid-side mode to rebalance the stereo field of this sound. A compressor to bring up the noise component of the sound, which was quieter. Corpus to add a very subtle resonant character to my sound. I used the DS10 drum shaper, which is a very cool transient designer from Excellent Audio, which is the same company of RC20 or Addictive Drums. I really like this plugin. I always come back to it when I'm making sounds. Another EQ to roll off the low end. Hybrid reverb because I wanted to add a little bit of dimensionality to this sound. I'm using it very slightly, and I'm also automating it in order to be applied only on the tail part of the sound. As you can see on this automation right here, I'm automating the dry wet knob. An additional EQ, this time I'm bringing up a specific resonance. This allows me to give my sound a tonal component, and the result is cool, especially if followed by the use of a saturator or a limiter. In this case I'm using Ableton Roar with this tape saturation preset that I tweaked a little, and it now sounds like this. Sketch cassette as a final stage saturation. So I then resample the sound, pitch it up 4 semitones, and then a saturator as a soft clipper basically. And it now sounds like this. This is how my file was sounding. And this is after I applied all of the effects and I resampled it. So yeah, we got this cool snappy perk sound that can be used in different contexts. So I'm gonna just save it and go on. While I'm working on the second sound, here's a fun fact. If you're thinking about adopting an Asian water monitor, you're not just getting a pet, you're signing up for a mini dinosaur roommate. This prehistoric buddy wants a whole room with a heated pool, sauna hot basking spot, rainforest humidity, and furniture tough enough to survive Godzilla claws. Dinner? Fish, rodents, eggs. Basically, you'll be catering Jurassic Park at home. Some second thoughts now? I first did some cleaning with a couple of EQs, a compressor and a transient shaper. The process is similar to the previous one. For me, it's about identifying resonances I don't like, adjusting the sound's dynamics and its stereo image. That's more or less what I always do before moving on to creative sound design processes. I think that the first creative thing that I did in this specific case is this EQ automation right here, because I didn't like how the sound was ending frequency wise. That's how it was sounding. It was a little too noisy, so I just dynamically fixed it. I then added a vocoder, which is not used as a proper vocoder in this case, but as a layering element. What I'm layering to my original sound is a noise that I have the full control on. So if in the first place I cut the high end of my sound using the EQ automation, with vocoder I'm basically giving it back, but this time I have full control on it, so now I can surgically fine-tune my frequency content. I added a corpus. On erosion, once again, I'm automating the amount. I just want the attack to be affected. I really like using bit crashing processes, especially on the attack of my sounds, because if I use it cautiously, it helps me highlighting specific parts of my sound by providing a bright layer to it. So I was not too happy with the sound I came up with. I found it to be a little boring. So I resampled it, I pitched it up 2 semitones, and I started adding more effects to it. First of all, another transient shaper, and I then started destroying it using some more creative plugins like Spectral Resonator right here. I'm having an automation for the stretch parameter right here. Then I added Effectrix. I'm using two modules, the looper and the spectrum. By messing around with the parameters, I came up with this super weird sound. Utility plugin to make it mono. Roar. And that's my main sound. Once again, I resampled it, stretched it down in a dramatic way, 19 semitones here. But I only kept the tail of it. OTT, EQ8, utility for our gain automation, and then a flanger. Resampled it once again, I shortened that up and add a final EQ. So the second sound that I just showed you is providing an extra tag to my sound. So when I combine them together, they sound like this.
Let's keep the curiosities about these giant lizards going. They're called water monitors because they swim like torpedoes and can hold their breath for half an hour. Perfect roommate, assuming your living room is a river, bro. Still convinced you want to adopt one?
Finally, I took this, which is basically just noise. I wanted to make it kind of tonal. I used an EQ and I created several resonances. I then added a tremolo, but I'm automating the amount knob, so it only operates on the very tail of the sound. RC20 distortion module, a first subtle instance of roar. I'm then using the shifter and I'm using the built-in LFO to create a very fast pitch jump, which happens in the attack transient of the sound. A very light reverb using M-Convolution Easy from Melda. Shaper box, I'm using the noise module to add just a pinch of noise to my sound. Very subtle, but it makes it a little brighter. Transient shaper. A second instance of roar, this time way more aggressive. One thing that I'm doing, increasing the amount on the feedback, so it creates a saturated tail, which I thought was pretty cool. And the final sketch cassette. Lastly, I resampled the sound and I pitched it up 5 semitones. So this is how it was sounding before. And that's the final sound.
Here's the final fun jab. Asian water monitors can grow over 2 meters long. That's not a pet, it's a prehistoric flatmate who eats more than your gym bro and takes up more space than your sofa. Still sure you've got room for one?
Okay, so I kept pulling out interesting moments from the first file and creating more sounds. These are the ones that I ended up making. So to test them out, I'll jump into FL Studio and create a little track or beat that includes the sounds that I just made. This one I reversed it and I used it as a transition element from one bar to the other. I then added some melodic elements. This one is a flex preset called Counting Hour, a lead from Purity. FL keys. Some strings from Purity. I resampled the drums, consolidated them, and I stretched it down, and I used it as an additional rhythmic layer. The last element I added is this bass, which comes from one of the sounds that I made. I just added a thermal preset to it, kind of enhanced the sub-frequency. also made another beat. I'm using the same sounds as before, the one that I used for bass, but this time I created a little melodic repetitive pattern with it. To increase the eeriness of it, I firstly added a delay, then I routed to another channel. I'm using one of the presets that I made, one that kind of transforms every sound into a pad by using a convolver, and I'm also having this little patch that I made, which is using the modulation feature of the delay tree to introduce some pitch variation. I copied the same melody onto 3x oscillator, but I got rid of the second half. And it still goes to the same channel as before, so it's going through the same effects chain. I use this sound to make this lead. To which I added Effectrix, this preset that we made. I use one of the percussive sounds for this pattern. Wait. Purity lead. And then this cool sound from Surge. Yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you liked it. I hope you got somehow inspired by the process. The 10 sounds that I made during this video are gonna be available for our subscribers. If you are interested in getting them and trying them out, just follow the link in the description. You're not only gonna get access to this sound, but to all of the sounds, all of the presets, all of the content related to past videos. Speaking of which, I encourage you to become members as soon as possible and collect all the available content, since the current content season is about to end. After that, we will remove the content to restart with a fresh beginning and a new content season. So link in the description to access everything available up until now. With that being said, I will see you in the next one.